Alright. Finally. Oh my god, guys. Technical difficulties. Totally my fault. Holy crap. Alright. Well, welcome everybody. It's Rodin, and we're here to do Eve Station Trading episode 61. Oh my goodness, we're getting up there. So what are we going to do today? So our usual stuff, right? We're going to go through last week's calls. We're going to look at UALX market items individually. Okay. For these items, I actually got this information yesterday, so it may not be 100% alright, but it's good for a day. Hey, did you see the trade price on the server up? You know, we called trade. What did we call trade? We called trade, yes, last week. Yep, I called trade last week. So yeah, we'll go over that. And I did call it as a sell. All right, even better. Almost sounds suspect. Love it. Alright guys, and one thing I want to go over today is hopefully a discussion about preparing investment opportunities. Okay, we've been getting a few interested parties in our investment Discord, and I just want to help them out and kind of guide them in a way to better present their information. A lot of them are good people, good operations, just that you kind of have to do the sell. Right? You have to do the sell. Alright guys, and with that we're gonna go, ooh, this is search operate, but it says cerebral accelerators, when they are back, are a way to flip ISK very quickly. Yes, they are. It's very cyclic, but also you're kind of on the clock when you do the cerebral accelerators, right? Me personally, I don't mess around with them because you kind of have to be on the ball with them. But if you have the time to be on the ball with them, it's really, really good. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and get started, guys. The first one I'm going to look at. Oops, Sir Chavez says I turned 600 million with my trader out into 5 billion in 2 weeks. You did it over 2 weeks? That's actually quite impressive to have done it over 2 weeks. Usually from the folks that I come across, they do it, they kind of have to do stuff within the first week, otherwise. Zan Stoker says, would 80 million be enough to start trading? It depends on the items you're interested in trading in. A lot of people kind of want to throw out numbers and want to have like concrete setups, but honestly, a lot of the times and people hate it when I say this, but it all depends. It all depends. And sometimes that really is the answer, oddly enough. It's going to depend on your specific situation. Q-Man the way says, I sold one Drake. Yes. Alright guys, so quick review. I'm going to go and get started with that. Last week we called buys on the worm. Still a buy then. Still a buy. I'm okay with that. Pax has started with 20 billion, that made life easier. Yeah, when I first started, I started with 2 billion. And I thought it was actually... I had a lot more fun trading with less money. Because then, I don't know, you kind of have to pick your battles, you know. So. The worm, we called it as a buy last week. Still a buy. It's still basically the same trade channel. Let's go back 7 days. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, it's a deeper buy, but it's still the same floor. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. Infinity Space Love says, how much do I have liquid? Not a whole lot. I'm actually more into harder items that aren't easily turned into ISK. So how much ISK do I have? Not much. Under 10 bill for sure. Haiti says I was lucky that I could not sleep last night. Hopped on Eve, docked in the morning, saw trade was 7.10. I moved 800 mil trade and sold Junior for a profit of 1.2 billion in 4 hours. Holy crap! Good for you, bud. Worm's still a buy. Is it tradable at least? Not really. 60. Not right now, at least. Not right now. 62 to 64. It's not even worth doing the math on that. Still a buy. Next item's a Gila. Still a buy for sure. It's evening out though, so that's kind of interesting. Alright, let's go back 7 days. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's still the same trade channel. It's actually still the same everything minus the 20-day moving average, which is continuing to trend downwards. This might be the actual 90-day bottom now, but it hasn't moved from there. It's positioning itself to continue to be a buy opportunity. I'm okay with that. If you have the ability to play Gilas, you probably should. You probably should. This is basically an extended sale period. It's good. Sale, like, you know, like it's a good thing to buy, like a sale, right? Kiyama says Secret of the Abyss kicks off on Tuesday. Gilas will go up then. Well, it's a good thing they're cheap right now. It's cheap right now then, isn't it? That's good. That's good. Everybody will lose Gilas. Excellent. Excellent. Deployment is delayed. Oh yeah, it is. It is, isn't it? Because it would coincided with WoW's like expansion launch, right? Something like that. Or at least that's the common sense answer, I imagine. Alright, next buy that we called last week is Hafnium. Good call. Good call. Let's go back 7 days. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's a good call. All right, so let's play off the mean, so that's will be easy to find. On the day that we broadcasted, it had a mean of 37K. At its height in the last 7 days, you've seen 45, 37 to 45. 21% increase in value. That's pretty dang good. That's really, really good. And it's a straight up sell action. There's not a whole lot of changes on volume, so there's that. All right, good call. Good call. 20%. That's good too, man. All right, so those are all of our buys. Okay. Now we're gonna go over to our sells from last week, and we'll start off with Mexilon. Oh. Zan says, check out the fits that CCP published recommended for Secret of the Abyss. It's like 3 to 4 ships. Yeah, I mean, Gila's gonna be a mainstay for anything PvE though, isn't it? It'll skyrocket for sure. Assuming that people lose them, yeah, I would think so. Yeah, I would think so. How cool is what happened to the faction of Pirate Freaks? They're so expensive now. They've been trending upwards for a while though, Akulo, haven't they? It's not so much that they spiked, right? It's just they've been sustaining upward price value, right? Kruger. I don't know what's up with the Kruger, Akulo. You still fly them things, right? No, you do. I'm sure you do. I'm sure you do. Mexilon, there you go. Mexilon called it as a sell last week. Still a sell. Still a sell. Cool says they usually go down after a while. Yeah, I was expecting that too. You've gone for 2 months and you see no let up. That is true. That is true. Super surprised. 10-6 just one time in market trading camp. I bought 8,000 plex and lost 3 bill on it. Bro, why'd you buy so much plex? Like the Plex and the multiple character trading certificate and the extractors and the injectors, all that is cyclic. It's cyclic around the Plex sales. So time those moves around Plex sales. There's stuff you gotta do before, there's stuff you gotta do after. And that's it. I really, it's on the clock. It's really on the clock. Like, and that's why I said that we're probably not gonna make those calls anymore, because they're kind of boring calls because they're cyclic. All right, like there's nothing to it. There's nothing to it. Of course, it's on the upside. I'm sitting on a load of 918 research structure BPOs that got converted while I was gone. Dang, good for you. Well, thank you very much for hosting RuneShift Gaming. Appreciate it. Canvas says, well, GSF is not exporting minerals anymore, so this will not easily go down again. They don't export. It means they're using it locally. That's good. That's good. That's how it should be, right? Fine. Cool says, how's the drug market these days? I don't usually make drug market calls, Akulo, because that's a bit out of my area of knowledge. And Leroy said GSO keeps blowing up time. Hey man, you can't have everything forever. Can't have everything forever. Mexilon, still a sell. You can go back 7 days, and it's basically riding the top of the Dungeon channel. Easy day. Next one's gonna be Morphite. Still a sell. It's really trending upwards, like pretty drastically. Every time the 5-day moving average looks like it's gonna dip below the 20-day moving average, it just pulls right back up. So, hey Shadows, what's up, buddy? Cool says Tesseract capacitor unit and thermonuclear trigger unit fell off a cliff. Oh, I don't. I have to take your word on that, man. I don't really look at those super specific items. Yeah, no, you're right, Grim. Morphite, basically, you need it for all Tech 2 stuff, so. We should actually cover it when we do our UALX market comparisons. Oh yeah, and Leroy says, what about faction ammo? Should be good with the war and all. You'd think that, but the volume of conversions that happen for faction ammo is ridiculous, man. Like, there's an incredible amount of supply on that stuff. An incredible amount of supply, because it's entry-level LP conversion item, you know, like, oh, I just found out what LP is, I'm gonna make faction ammo, you know. It's one of those things. Tons of supply, especially when your input materials are like Tech 1 items and some cash. Yeah, Grim, I mean, people do the LP conversion to ammo because it's easy and you can do it in volume, but for 98% of the time it's not the best move. And Grim says, also cyclically due to faction tier levels. It can be, but it's not as drastically felt, because you can actually use non-specific FatB TV hosting. Thank you very much. Because it's you can still get the ammo using non-faction warfare related NPC corps. Like regular NPC corps can actually do it. Morse says, yeah, Rodin, how do you read the blue line, the quantity? The blue line is the 20-day moving average. I'm sorry, the 5-day moving average. When you say quantity, what do you mean by quantity? Like the volume? Cool says LP faction frigates are better, but yeah, I mean we're calling them this week. We're definitely calling them this week. Like the ones we're calling, I would highly suggest you actually look at all of them, to be honest. But yes, Morris says the blue line is the 5-day moving average, and the mean that we look at as far as price for the period is signified by the orange dot. More says, yeah, I never assume when people say that the volume is good on a certain commodity. It's going to depend on the commodity, right? If you can start thinking about market stuff in a very, very specific way, because you'd be surprised that the behaviors that are applied for certain items, it may be quite unique to that item based on what the item is, how it interacts with the meta, its supply and demand considerations, things like that. Right, and last one for our review, we're going to be sales on Tritanium. It looks like it's going to be pretty crazy. It just kept going. It kept going. Wow. Let's go back 7 days. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I can only speak of the Jita picture. I can only speak of the Forge picture. But it basically sat above 7 the whole time. It was reachable throughout those days. Not necessarily as means, but reachable as depicted by the value of the Danshin channel. I'm super surprised, man. Usually when Trit pulls out like this, it gets corrected hard. Like hard. Jita might be a bad picture for this. I wish there was a way to universally see commodities in the game, like in a truly universal. I'm not sure if anyone can ever create that picture. That'd be great if we can see that. As you know, again, no minerals of Dell should hit Jita anymore. Yeah, I mean, even if that's 100% true, Canva, other people have stocks too. You know, HiSec has stocks too. Oh, cool. What are you trying to send, man? Send it to me directly, and I'll push it. As long as it's not like craziness, you know what I mean? Have you seen the MER? Yeah, I've seen the MER, and for the most part, unless it deviates from Delva's winning, I don't really read that much more into it. Kind of boring. Gribble says only CCP would really have the data to mine for universal analysis. Yeah, that's true. I just wish I was more keen on the tool stuff, the data mining stuff. It's not. Alright, so that's all of our reviews. Good calls. I think we're finding ourselves in this situation again where weekly calls are okay, but the calls are lasting for more than a week. That's good and bad. I think we're seeing that as a result of I think we're seeing that more on faction ships and faction items as opposed to raw materials, which is kind of cool. Of course, that's just saying I took a peek at my Frigate Mogul portfolio. They're not really spiking that hard. Bro, send it to me if you want to share it, man. Like, seriously. Yeah, just direct if you want, you can hit me up on Discord or whatever, and I'll push it. I'm really curious to see your actual portfolio, actually. Alright guys, Valkulo hopefully will be getting that for us, because I'm super interested in this portfolio. Let's review some items from UALX. Okay, so Quick and Deadly says, I just came back to the game after many years. Is BPO research still good nowadays? I don't think so. Oh, Mogul got it. Oh, wow. Wait, so it's just I'm not familiar with this view, so you may have to explain this one, Akula. So do check that out, guys. That is Akulo's frigate, faction frigate portfolio from Eve Mogul. Shout out to Eve Mogul. Yeah, Tensiga says everyone has all the VPOs research already. Yeah, that's true, man. Research used to be good. Used to be good. Not anymore. I like this view though, cool. This is cool, man. This is cool. I'm gonna have to get back into actually using these tools. With the stuff that I normally look at, I just don't think I really like need it, you know? Not a need. It's like a cool to have. All right, guys. So we're gonna go take a look at UALX market comparison. All right. So for those of you guys who don't know, I'm from Legacy Coalition. All right, and our main staging area is UALX. It's in Tenerife. Okay, a lot of stuff happens from there. A lot of the form ups happen from there. So it's a really good active nullsec market as far as true staging systems go. Okay. So this is actually something that we talked about from last week. We wanted to do an market item review from UALX. Okay, so what we're going to look at is actually compare the items in UALX, its values, and compare to JITA. Cool says did I leave CVA? My alliance left CVA. Yes, we moved to Immensity. Then from Immensity we moved to Impasse. I'm so glad we left CVA. I'm so glad. What a shit show, man. It's like, well, props for those guys for trying to make that stuff work, but man. Alright, I'm gonna start off with the VNIs, okay? Even as a strategic staging area, VNIs still get sold there, man. And you'll see this a lot too, you know, if there's a lot of people in one place, eventually, if given the right conditions, it will become a good market, regardless of, you know, you'd think it would just be combat related stuff, right, strategic related stuff, but actually it's starting to become a proper market because like VNIs are getting sold there, you know, like ratting stuff's getting sold there, mining stuff's getting sold there. It's being utilized as a market because people are known to congregate there, right? So we got VNIs, JITA buy 65. This is from yesterday. VNIs, JITA buy 65 mil. UALX sell 87. Okay. One thing I can say about this: the UALX sell value, not a whole lot. Not a whole lot of volume per day either. You're looking at 2 to 4 per day. Okay. But with that kind of difference, 65 to 87. Let's do some quick math on that. 65 to 87. That's a 33% increase in value. That would definitely entice me to import that, assuming that I have a good source of fuel, or I somehow get subsidized for my labor and fuel, right? But I think that's a really good import item. You just can't really do a whole lot of volume on that, right? I would probably check that out more as a corporation or alliance contract. You may find more value doing that. Grimwall says import export really depends on shipping costs. I don't know. Yeah, totally, man. That's why I'm not doing it right now. I'm not doing it right now because, for one, the effort on my part and the cost that I have to impose on my goods. And a lot of people actually aren't that interested in importing because of where we live right now, because of where my corporation lives right now, StarTide Industries, because it's a bit safer for us to harvest and mine right now and rat and all that stuff. So we'll just make stuff locally instead of importing it, which is good. I've basically been worked out of a job because of the environment that we find ourselves in. That's great, and I appreciate that, because in the long term, that's going to be a heck of a lot better than relying on JF guys like me to just constantly just seed the region. Go says if I'm running their buyback, I myself am not running their buyback. My other corporation leadership personalities are running the buyback. But that's kind of something that I want to hit on a little later too. Grimwell says the benefit of Imperium is the high null costs are cheaper than null. High, too many carriers were dead, heading back to null. Oh yeah. Captain Black says, does your alliance not look down on markups of about 50%? I don't think so. I mean, where we are at in Impasse, in our regional market hub, there's not much to talk about there. There's not a lot of goods exchanging in that particular market hub. A lot of that stuff is probably happening as contracted items for Corp or Alliance. Catherine Black says most have been discouraging it. No, man, no. If your organization actually practices true free market concepts, it will get back to a level that makes sense. You have to give it a chance to get to that level that makes sense. You have to let it be. But at the same time, you have to be aware of those forces that could push the market one way or another. You know, it's a tough balancing act. It really, really is. Like I know of folks who will control. They would never control buys because I don't know. They just never do. But they'll control sells, right? And they will discourage against people from buying it and relisting it, which is silly because let them buy it. Let the trades happen. If they relist it and they're unsuccessful, there you go. Darwinism happened. Grimos again says that was usually why the cabals playing the market once the margin went too high. Yeah, that's a great way to control it. If you control it using the same methods that the people you want to control are using, then they'll be better for you. Cool says people are so afraid of free market. They're afraid because in the very, very short term, it looks like it can be abused. But that's with any system, right? So let it be abused and let the guys that participate in that system develop counters for that said abuse, and it'll all even out in the end. But people don't want to do that because they're afraid. They're afraid of, like, oh my god, it's out of control. Like, no, fool, it's not out of control. Let it be, and it will be under control, because the system will allow it to reach a point of balance. You just have to give it time. All right, so that's the VNI picture, guys. Next item we're going to look at Sisters Core Scanner Pro. Grimo says abuse is really enabled only on truly vertically controlled market items, i.e. Moongu reaction output. Yeah, that's a good example. But you can also abuse items that are... No, you're right. Not really. I mean, I had only so much wiggle room to play with import items myself. It had to be something that was locally sourced, right? It would make more sense if it was something that was locally sourced. Cool says, I disagree. Logistics can create a great little monopoly. It can. I was the monopoly. It's just that eventually people smarted themselves up, right? But then it's a case of labor's different, right? Labor's different when it comes to labor's different versus items that you can just put in the market. Actually, no, that's a bad example. Controlling something by virtue of labor is a little different versus controlling something by virtue of availability, right? Grimwolf says locally sourced is constrained externally by import costs. I believe you. It's just I personally don't see it enough in my own organization. Oh, thank you for following, Kilia. Appreciate it. Alright, but real quick on that Sister Core Scanner Probe, G to buy 382K, UALX sell 479K. An item like this, Sister's Core Scanner Probes, you're gonna see a lot of volume, right? A lot of volume, even UALX. So, but let's take a look at those numbers. 382 to 479. %25 increase in value. Love it. Just have to you actually have to compete in UALX to actually be top order. So it's one of those things. Albo says when people who don't have access to jump freighter move to null and are required to buy items / ships to participate on fleet, then people can take advantage, and that's when it should be controlled. I disagree. I disagree because of this. Akula, you're so mean, bro. You're so mean, man. What's that? Those people just need to get a clue. Yeah. I mean, I guess it depends on the level of abuse that's being imposed by the jump freighter pilots, right? Was I abusive to the people that I sold to? Yeah, I was abusive because I could. Because I was the only jump freighter guy. You want to buy my stuff? Then you buy at this price. At the same time, I then offered just the service as well, right? I'm not a fan of people going, I want the price of X items for doctrine set to this value. And people who don't like to do the math, don't want to look at the work, they'll just blindly set it and then lose money and then lose interest and then no longer continue to manufacture or haul. It's a loss. It's a supply loss then. Drama Buddha says, move out of there if you're getting rubbed in your alliance. That's actually a good point. LTL says, entry cost and scarcity allows for you to create monopoly. Yep, but I find even the harder to make items seem to get made in good space. There's just so many good manufacturers here. Yes, that is so true. The scale that Imperium works on is just honestly second to none. That's just a fact, guys. It's just honestly second to none. So, and the MER displays that, all right, and our collective consciousness displays that as well, all right. Everyone says that's why I run my own drum freighter. Hey, me too. But I do still pay for shipping when I make more money not running my drum freighter for myself. Me too. I got you, buddy. Because if you tax your importers, they'll move out and you'll have even more expensive doctrine when supply decreases. Yep. And that did happen when I said, you know what? Screw this. I'm stopping JF services. You guys can figure that shit out. What happened? It's not a whole lot of things that made it that made the staging. You know what I'm saying? Hussy, hey, what's up, buddy? When the market's just starting up, importers will make money because local production is not up to snuff. Yes. If you have good guys who know that they are doing what they are doing, they can overproduce and undercut importer. But it becomes a battle, right? It becomes a battle between the importers versus the local producers, because importers are really good for wartime supplying, and local producers are really good for peacetime supplying, right? Yeah, it takes a long. Hula for us, it actually only took about maybe 3 months, shy of 3 months. Where before I became, I got placed into a point where I can't compete with the local producers anymore, which was good. When that happened, I finally got to relax. I love it. I finally got to play with my BNI. I love it. Really loving these discussions, guys. Really loving these discussions. The next item, guys, this is the first of our Tech 2 items that we're going to review from UALX. This one specifically is a 250mm railgun used for Feroxes. And other ships, of course. 250mm railgun, very popular platform. GDAS. Now, for this one specifically, we're going GDAS sell to UALX sell. Okay. The reason we're going GDAS sell as opposed to GDAS buy is because getting Tech 2 items off of buys can be very unreliable. Okay, it's more reliable to get them from sells, assuming there's enough meat on the bone for you to just straight up import it. Okay. 1.7 to 2.3. Let's check that out. $35% increase in value, totally worth it. Low volume too. So if you're if your importer's business model as a service relies on M3, it relies on ISK per M3, you may be getting a good deal importing 250mm railgun 2s or other Tech 2 items if the business model relies on M3. Okay. And finally, our last look for UALX and GDA comparison. Panther says, make sure wrote in the volume sold. The volume sold? It's null sec, man. A lot of that stuff a lot as far as the high volume stuff. It's gonna have to make sense when you look at it from a buy all sense, right? If there's enough, if all the pieces are there do buy alls, then the volume gets a lot more consistent. If not, then it kind of becomes like a onesie twosie thing. Right, that's a really good consideration. Volume. That's one thing we didn't look at here, and the reason we're not looking at it here is because it just doesn't. It doesn't compare the volume. The volume's not comparable to Jita of all places. The last look, guys, gonna be Saber. Saber, Jita sells 78 mil, UALX 88. Actually, a really good turnaround, man. I was thinking about actually importing these. It's a 12% increase in value for something that's actually, considering the M3 involved and how much it costs, that's actually not bad. I would do that. But if I had to make a choice, I'd probably focus on Tech 2 modules first. Then I would go to small ships like that. Alright, so hopefully you guys enjoyed that UALX review. Now, just some quick market updates. I had moved the Minokawa that I had built in Basgrin, moved it over to UALX. There's like 3 Minos being sold in UALX, and I try to consistently be the top order, so we'll see. Hopefully get sold soon. It was actually at least able to sell it in UALX for a much better price versus what I would be able to sell it for in Basgrin. Alright, so the next thing I'm going to go over, guys, is it's really hopefully a good discussion on starting investment opportunities. Okay, so let me just set the scene a little bit. So we've been getting a lot of folks that are interested in getting financial support from our market Discord, from our investment Discord, and kind of hyping their operations to see if we get folks that would be interested in supporting them. All right. The last few that had come up, I think they would have been more successful if they had a better way to actually present their information, or and on top of that, a better way to interact with the people that may be interested. Okay, so that's what I kind of want to go over. If I had an operation, or either by myself or as a corporation, and I'm trying to get investors to support me so that I can do the operation and pay everybody out, these are things that I probably should be aware of. Okay. Now I want to use my corporation as an example for these when we actually discuss these. And the reason being is if we talk too vague, it may not make sense. All right. Who says then one of the SEC guys just run off with 200 bill a few weeks ago? Yeah, it was one of my guys, man. It was actually one of my guys. It's a shame because he could have made so much more by just being honest, and that's actually something I'm going to address, the honesty part. Okay. But yeah, 200 bill. He could have gotten away with more. It's only 200 bill, man. It's not even that much. He could have done better. He could have done better by just doing the op, I think. Alright, I'm going to use my corporation because I'm actually trying to convince my CEO and one of the directors, like, hey guys, you guys have a really slick operation here. You have a really good production line going. You have a lot of the people with different skill sets are working in the skill sets that they enjoy working in. But I think you guys are being stifled by not having enough liquidity. So I kind of pitched the idea of, hey, have you guys thought about getting some investors to put money into the corporation, and then you just figure out a business model to pay them out? So I'm going to see if actually they're ready by putting these questions and discussion points against what I know my corp does. So just to see if they're actually ready. So it'll be kind of a cool exercise. Alright, so the first one is look into your operation. Why exactly are you asking for more funds? Actually, this is really, really good. The last few that we've had were, for the most part, single player with multiple alts type of operation. And as far as needing funds goes, a lot of these especially something like buybacks, or in the case of my corporation, we actually do like massive buybacks. All right, relative to our size, they're pretty massive buybacks, and relative to our space, they're massive buybacks, needing billions and billions and billions because of moon goo, because of ratting goods, because of PI and all that stuff. So you have to understand why you need the funds. And the reason that's a good, really first question. Good first question is because if you can get away with scaling your operation without needing funds, that's probably a better way to do it versus asking for funds and owing people money. Okay, so think hard and long about that. Do I actually need more funds, and do I need to actually accrue it by way of loans? All right. In the case of my corporation, I don't think it's I think it's a good thing. I think we do need the funds to scale. I think that there's just really no way to move forward from where we are because we need the money. Because we need the money to pay the harvesters. That's what it comes down to. Because they're harvesting that much, they're actually outpacing us. That's why in our case, we actually do need the money in order to keep the machine going, and we know the machine will keep going. So, all right, next thing to look into, guys. Be prepared to explain how your operation works and who is directly involved. A lot of the folks that I've seen kind of try to sell their operation trip in this part. Google says, have you guys considered using mobile tools, etc., to keep track of the people that take out loans? I'm not a tools guy at Google, so I'm not sure on the actual mechanical part of the website, of the tools, how to actually do that. I'm not, even if we were to be able to develop that in a world of alts in Eve, I'm not sure how effective that actually will be. I get what you're saying though, it's just that if alts weren't a thing, I think that would make sense. I think that would make sense. It's a really good idea, though. It's a really good idea. Veronica should run with that. Who says you can keep track of their transactions, see what they're up to? It depends on the operation, right? Because sometimes it's not really directly a transaction. Sometimes it's other things, or they're just a middleman for something else. It really depends on the operation, right? Be prepared to explain how your operation works and who is directly involved. Be forthcoming with the information. All right, this is how my operation works. I need money to buy a super so I can super rat, and I'll pay everyone off 5% a month. Nice and simple. Nice and simple, right? If I were to use my corporation as a real life example for this, it actually would be kind of difficult because we're trying to, because we do a lot of operations. We don't just. Oh, Grimo says Imperium has a set of guidelines for loaner loanee makes a contract post with terms and declaration of collateral. Good. That's really good. That's awesome. Google says don't take difficult questions personally. It's business. So true. So true. Like a lot of guys, they will get tripped up on. Well, what are you gonna do if you lose your Rorqual? What's gonna happen to the investors if you lose your super? Those are really good questions, right? And they need to be answered, and they need to be answered intelligently. Okay. In the case of my corp, I just don't think we have to work on that because we actually have a lot of operations going simultaneously. But for us, we do the mining, we do the ratting, we do the moon goose stuff, we do the building, we do the contract seeding, we do the jump freighter hauling. I do that. So we're a one-stop shop. That would actually be very difficult to explain, and we need to actually get all our ducks in a row before we present something like this to investors. At least how our corp works. So, Cool says people get offended when you question their plans. Yeah, they do, but they need to get offended so they can present us with what their backup plan is. Grimo says, hence collateral is a risk of business. Failure to complete the terms of the contract involves removal from the coalition blacklisting. Yeah, I'm going to use myself as an example real quick though, Grim. It's because I never use collateral. Never in my life. Never in my life. I've worked all the way up to a bit over 100 bill. Zero collateral. Zero collateral. So it's one of those things. Hey, Dusky Pants, what's up, buddy? But everyone's different, right? Because I guess I kind of work myself up from like 2 bill all the way to what I managed to work a bit over 100. That was work, man. Next item to consider if you're trying to get investors: identify how much you need specifically. I need X bill. Right? Payout structure. How am I going to pay out my supporters? Is it going to be a weekly payout? Is it going to be monthly? Is it going to be whenever I reach a certain amount from my operations? And liquidity clauses. What I mean by that is have a way to pay back your supporters if they want out. Depending on your operation, this may not be feasible because I don't know. I need the money to sit with me for 6 months before they can see some sort of profit because of how I work or how the thing works, right? So try to offer a liquidity clause because it gets people more comfortable when they can pull their money out, even if it's with a bit of a fee or something, you know. So yeah, you get but to get loans without collateral, you have to be very active in the trader community. People get to know you. Yeah, you're right, Akulo. Like, I started off with my own core mates when I did my loan, you know. But now, I mean, I'll be honest, man. I pitched the idea in the Discord in my actual investors channel, like my closed investors channel, like, and people were super interested. There was a lot of zeros being thrown around, man. And I haven't done investments in like almost a year, and people were able to were comfortable throwing money our way, you know, my way, my corpse way, because I never cheated nobody, you know what I mean? I never took money from no one that you know in a bad way, you know. So that means some honesty goes a long way too. Yep, if someone is known to be a reliable fellow, collateral can be waived. Yeah, I mean, it all comes down to what you're comfortable with as an investor, what you're comfortable with as an operator, right? Because at the end of the day, if a trade were to happen, then there's going to have to be consequences or rewards based on that action, right? All right, next item: if at all possible, publicize the operation and its interaction with investors. I did this religiously. I literally had a blog for all this stuff. So that was my way of publicizing. And when I publicize, or when you publicize your findings, your operation, it really gives it an air of legitimacy, I think, and it makes you look more trustworthy. Who says you're trusted because you know for the journey of getting rich is more important than the actual goal? Yeah, man. Like, I'm ISK poor practically. I'm not that ISK rich, guys, but I'm rich in contacts. I'm rich in my ability to hopefully positively influence people. That's it. I'm rich in everything but ISK. I'm like the poorest trader there is, I swear. So hopefully that's something that's possible for your operation. Some sort of public knowledge, even if it's just actually within your investor group, right? At the very least, within your investor group. But if you can go even beyond that, I think that gives you a lot of legitimacy in the long term. And I think I'm evidence of that. Just saying. I really don't know if anyone else actually was that forthcoming. In the beginning, I was getting a lot of flack for being accused of a scammer because of what I was doing. Which I thought was kind of funny looking back now, because I actually never scammed anybody. People made double money off me, man. A lot of people made double money off me. So I kind of want to go back, see if I can still do it. Next one, guys. If successful, scale your operations and spread your scope. I don't think this is actually applicable for everybody, because for certain things you can't really scale outside of having an alt. You can't really scale outside of getting more money, right? So if your operation is at all scalable, do consider it. Do consider it. If it's not, see about reaching out into maybe complementary operations that could help you as well. Hades says, would you recommend Caldari Galactic Faction ship BPCs at the moment? Depends how you're actually acquiring the BPCs. If you're acquiring them from JITA contracts, bro, don't bother with that stuff, man. Don't bother with that stuff. A lot of that's overpriced. That's absolutely overpriced, especially for the Navy faction items, not necessarily the pirate faction. Everyone says consider scale as diversification, short-term and long-term spec. Yeah, absolutely. It's just that depending on the operation, it means something, all right? If the operation is labor intensive, the only way to scale it may be either through a better ship or using alts. Cool says, to be honest, I think taking stock is important too. Too easy to get burned out. Yeah, bro, that's why I left. I couldn't deal with it. It was actually a lot of work, man. I was getting burnt out. But at the same time, getting burnt out tends to be a reason to scam. Being burnt out tends to be a reason to just walk away with the money. So do be careful of that stuff, guys. If you guys have operators that are getting burnt out, hey, talk to them, man. Make sure they don't run away with your money, or protect yourself somehow if they may run with your money if they're getting burnt out. Okay, so at the end of the day, he's holding your money. Because it seems to me that half the people that end up walking away from loans do it because they get dude. Yeah, I totally get it. I totally get it, man. Totally get it. Yan Leroy says, and then you realize your daily rash production topless JITA market every 2 days when you try to cash in. Ugh. Cool says, if you see someone uber active for months, be careful. Yeah, I would. Sometimes they don't even last that long, bro. I think the operators these days don't have the same like nerd cred stuff, man, that we did. They're just not, you know what I mean? You know what I mean, right? I mean, they don't stick with the game as hard and as long as people back then used to. Those kids got no stamina. For real, man, they got no stamina. Next item, guys. Throughout the life of your investment dealings, be prepared to communicate often. It just goes back to one of our previous points, right? Communicate with your investors, communicate with your operators, okay? Communicate with other people to see if your operation could be better. That's all. Just open communication all around. It will do nothing but help. To wrap it all up, as far as this discussion goes, remember, trust is much more profitable than scamming. It really, really is, man. Like the guys that scam, the guys that walk away with stuff. If the intent was scamming in the first place, then it's kind of okay. Got it. The intent was to scam. But if you find yourself in a position where I can continue to honestly work, or I can continue to scam, I encourage you to honestly work. All right, because in the end, I think you'll get more than just ISK rewards out of it. Okay. But if you're getting to that point where you're getting burnt out, then communicate that to your investors and see if you can just clear the debt and be done and have some rest, right? Remo says there's a hidden benefit of exploring other game aspects. When you get burnt out on something, you have something else to explore. Yep. Pro tip, the more you know of different playstyles or aspects, the more you can understand the underlying market trends. Yep. It's kind of funny you mentioned that. Actually, I was having a conversation with someone, and one of the things I told was like, as long as you're not a shit EVE player, you can figure out the fundamental analysis of most things in the game. As long as you're not a shit player. That's it. Just don't be a shit player. You can kind of figure out markets, to be honest. Cool says, I've noticed some people, instead of taking straight out loans, instead do partnerships and get capital that way. Partnerships. Investors on their plan and work together. That's I don't know. I mean, that's kind of the angle I'm approaching with my corp. Like, you know, I mean, as far as if I were to apply these questions to my corporation's operations right now, I'd say they're ready. To actually get investors. The only thing I would say is they need someone to actually manage operations in such a way that there's a universal view. I think right now we have a lot of separate subject matter experts doing their subject matter expert thing, but we need someone to really put it all together. I think once we can get there, or at least display that, I think we'll really be ready for taking in investors. Rome says that is the thing with alt corps and manufacturing cooperatives. Arif does it on a macro scale with goons. Yeah, I bet he does. That guy's amazing, man. That guy's amazing. I'm saying. All right. Well, thank you very much for the discussion, guys. So I think the moral of the story, at least for my corporation, StarTide Industries, I think we're ready to get investors in. I think the corporation's operations are ready to take in more funds and can scale appropriately with said funds. Just a matter of packaging it nicely and being able to communicate it. So that's something that I intend to do, and that's something that I'm probably actually gonna keep tabs on and actually share with you guys here in the show if we ever get to that point. I think it's really cool to see investor operations and how that interaction happens, actually seeing it as it develops and sharing it with you guys, because this is kind of like our thing, right? Like money's our thing, trading's our thing, right? Cool. Says look at Mogul organization tool. Jared designed it for cooperative trading manufacturing. Yep. I really gotta get back into it, man. A lot of those modules I haven't touched in a while, so I really gotta get back into it. Right now, I'm not trading heavily enough to actually warrant it, to be honest. I'm more of a producer right now. Producer and hauler. That's why I haven't touched it in a while. Alright, so now, let's go ahead and hit up our picks of the week. Alright, the first one we're going to go over is buys. Caldari Navy Medium Shield Extender. A lot of these items, guys, you're gonna see as Navy faction items, Navy faction ships. Because we called it out last week that we wanted to take a look at faction warfare items, LP items, okay? Because we've given enough time to the folks that were farming LP, were farming and hoarding it, and now let's see what they do with it, okay? So the first one I'm going to go over, Caldari Navy Medium Shield Extender, is the Caldari Navy item. It'll be faster this way. Canyon MSE. Oh. Really? Canyon. What by Canyon? Oh. Take a look at Canyon real quick. What the heck is this all about? What the heck? What's that Danchin? No, I don't want to touch that, man. I don't want to touch that. CP reduces. Okay, nice. Caldari Navy 1 is sitting on a really profitable trade channel right now, guys. It's sitting between 11 and 14, and that's really why we're picking it. Not necessarily because it's actually trending in such a way where it'll be a good buy. It's just that it's a good buy and sell, basically. So let's take a look at the values. 11 to 14. That's a 27% increase in value. That's good. It's gonna be like this for a while. It's gonna be like this for a while because Caldari is tier 1. They've been tier 1 for a while. This is where the price has settled. Okay, so it appears like the thing's getting bought. I wonder if it's actually getting destroyed. A lot of these items, Akulo, actually isn't meta relevant, believe it or not. It's just these are the platforms from which the LP conversions happen. And I don't think enough of them actually get destroyed. I think they literally just change hands as a means of laundering the money, laundering the LP into ISK. I think that's really it. A lot of I wouldn't think to make a fit and go, I need Caldari Navy medium shield extenders for this. Otherwise, the fit won't work. Like I can't think of a fit that just speaks of that, right? So this is a platform for exchange. I think that's really what it is for a lot of these Navy faction items. They have a few fits like that, Akulo, really? Caldari Navy medium shield extender. Like what? Like hook bills? Like one. You can fit like one, right? Astero, you know what? That's a good call. That's a good call. That's a good call. Astero. That makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah. But the Caldari Nave medium shield extender, good trade channel. It's good trade channel. Next one, guys. This actually shouldn't be surprising because of how high, how strong in faction warfare tier control the Galante have been. Burik's Navy issue. If you're in the market for this, or you just want to check it out, and it's really cheap right now. It's a 90-day low. It's been a 90-day low for the last 2 weeks. Okay, you should consider it. You should consider buying it. I would buy this right now with the intent. I would buy this in bulk, with the intent of reselling this. Oh, Cool Eagle, thank you very much for hosting. Appreciate it. I would buy this in bulk, or at least the prepare the BPCs, and just get ready for when the faction warfare tier control eventually flips. It will eventually flip. Okay. Cool says, do you look at goods in terms of complements / substitutes? Say one module spikes, and you look at the substitute and complement good movement. That's a really good way of looking at that. I don't think I have the time to really do that quickly. I would really have to know an item and a fit, right? I don't really reach back to fits unless it's in a contract sense. But if you have the ability to do that quickly, cool, I think you got something. I really think you got something. QQ Mod says there's a bunch of fits with faction shield extenders, especially Tengu. Caldari Navy specifically, though, that they don't use the other ones. Cool says, as a PvP, it's how I look at the market. There you go. Like for me, my biggest draw is volume. That's my biggest indicator. Outside of meta considerations, outside of supply and demand pulls, volume. Because at the end of the day, I'm a follower, right? I just follow the trends. So that's why I use volume so heavily. Your Cube Master's Caldari Navy is usually the cheapest. Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. So there's actual genuine demand. Great. I guess I made that comment in the context of as a low sec PvP person. I don't see it too often. You know, me personally, I don't see it too often. But if you guys are seeing it, then okay. In case you guys are seeing it, perfect. Alright guys, our next item, we're gonna look at all the P4s actually. So there's a pattern with all of the P4s, or most. Actually, let me draw that back. Most of the P4s are buys right now. So let's check that out. Alright, advanced planetary materials. We're gonna go down the list, guys. But you'll start seeing the patterns real quickly. That's a buy. 5-day moving average, under the 20-day moving average, mean somewhere around or below the 5-day moving average. That's the pattern. That's the classic pattern, okay? And we're going to see that quite often as we go scroll through these P4s, okay? Broadcast node, great trade channel there. Looking at a buy as far as the moving averages go. Integrity response drones, it might be pulling up into the sell right now, but right now technically as far as the moving averages, it looks like it's still a buy. If you can capture this at 2.25 mil per, I think you're in good shape to resell above 250. Okay. Nanofactories, narrow trade channel. I wouldn't mess with it too much, but I think that if you let's take a look at how it looks right now. The historic data doesn't look too good. 1 to 1.1, that's actually not bad. That's 10% difference. That's actually not bad. It looks good right now. Okay, right now. How it looks actually towards, you know, like when you play, that may be a different story. But if you get close to getting this at 1 million, you'll be okay. It's only a few 1 million orders right now, actually. That's not bad. As well as organic motor applicators, trending downwards. This may actually go further. I think this is going to go below 1 mil. Out of all the ones that we looked at so far, if you were to do one like a forward projecting buy order, this would probably be the one to do it on, the organic motor applicators. I'd set buy orders on this below 1 million to see if we can get it captured, and I think you will, because the mean is sitting well below. It trends well below the 5-day moving average, which is also below the 20-day moving average. So I think it's got room to go down, or at least narrow the trade channel down closer to the bottom right now. Recursive computing module, narrow trade channel. Might be a bit too narrow. This is my least favorite so far of these picks. Least favorite so far. Because it's hard to tell where it's gonna go when the trade channel's narrow. Is it gonna go up? Is it gonna go down? No one really knows until something fundamental happens. Unless you're causing that fundamental change, I mean, no one's gonna know, right? Another buy, self-harmonizing power core. Easy call. Same thing with stereo conduits, but I think like it's probably gonna start to hit the top end of the trade channel that it's currently in. Probably the worst of the buy calls right now is the stereo conduits. The rest have been pretty good so far. Wetware's a good buy. Wetware's a really good buy because it's one of the more expensive ones too. I'd get this. I'd definitely get this. Alright, so we basically reviewed all the P4s because all of them technically are looking like buys. So oversupply, yeah. A lot of people are dumping into buys, and there isn't that response of the sells increasing. People are just dumping into buys and the sells aren't moving. That's basically what's happening, right? It looks like it's happening for a while, or at least the last 10 days for most of these items. Alright, next thing we're gonna go over, guys, are the sells. We're all done with our buys now. Our first sells, we're gonna go over Caldari Navy Hornet. Yep, that's a sell. It's basically hitting the 90-day moving average near 2 million. Okay, if you got them, great. If you got the LP to exchange for it, consider exchanging them and selling them as Caldari Navy Hornets. Next item, guys, Caldari Navy Hook Bill. That's a sell. Not necessarily 90-day high. The 90-day high is sitting at 17.5 mil. But right now, 16.1. That's not bad. It's even tradable right now. 16 to 13. 23% change in value. That's really good. I would just be careful because it's trending upwards. You might get caught with a really high buy order. However, the bottom end of the downtrend channel has been pretty consistent for at least the last almost 60 days. So that's really good. I'll just be careful. If you start feeling like it's nudging in a way that's going to put you in a disadvantage, just react appropriately. Okay, react appropriately. Don't be afraid. And finally, our last sell call, guys, is going to be the rattlesnake. Yep, it hit the bottom of the 90-day mark about 2 weeks ago, and it's starting to get up there now. I would sell this if I happen to have the rattlesnake, if I happen to have the BPCs for the rattlesnake. Like, I'd be careful playing this as a flip item, as a buy to sell item. I'd be careful. If you already have the items or the BPCs, now is one of the better times to sell it. And now that's actually recovering. But as a flip item, 436 to 458 right now, that's not good. 4%, that's not gonna especially if the exchanges are happening in Judah itself, that's not even going to cover the taxes involved, man. So I wouldn't mess with this right now. Not a flippable item. As of time of recording, rattlesnakes are not a flippable item. Alright, so that's all we got, guys. That's all the stuff that we wanted to go over today. Great discussions today. Really, really cool. Super happy. Super happy that I got to review with you guys the Cat Ziggy. Quick extra question: do you think with the upcoming event to do with the abyssal sites, is the Gila a good buy now and sell when the event is on? A good buy now for sure. Buy now for sure because there's still buys. They've been a buy item for the last 2 weeks. If you have the money to buy them now and you foresee people using Gilas in order to do the event, that may be a good move for you. Okay. So we got to do the biggest thing. Oh. Hayden says, what about the keys used to enter the sites? I don't know. I don't have an answer for that one. If someone has an idea of how that plays out, let us know. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not too sure about that one, Hades. All right, so we went over a lot of stuff. Basically, after reviewing the investor considerations with you guys, it sounds like my corp is just about ready to actually enter the fray. But just to be forthcoming, when we do get there, not if, but when we do get there, I'm gonna be the guy to actually see about that. All right. At the very least, I've actually offered my services to be like a middleman, so that my guys can continue to do what they do, and then I can be the guy managing the investor money. All right. If that does happen, I definitely would be very interested in sharing how that goes with all of you guys. I think that's a really good learning point for everyone involved, if anything else. Okay. Black Cat Rice says, who knows if there are even event keys? That's a good point. I don't know if they're actually going to be event keys, but if there were, yeah, I'm not too sure about the question. 80, sorry, not too sure. Alright, so yeah, that's all I got, guys. Looking forward to next week. What am I thinking? What am I thinking here? I'm curious to look at the raw moon materials again, especially with Morphite going up, more Tech 2 stuff's being sold, right? I'm interested in looking at I'm kind of interested in looking at salvage, to be honest. I'm kind of interested in looking at salvage. I don't look at it enough, but it never fails. Someone in the show will actually mention salvage, so it seems like there's something happening with salvage, so I should probably look at it. Right. And I think I'm going to continue to do comparisons in UALX and JITA. I think that was really fun. That was really worthwhile doing. Just be mindful of the volume. Hey Ruslav, what's up, buddy? So yeah, so we're gonna go. So next week, what we're gonna do is I'm gonna go over more raw moon materials. I'm gonna look at UALX again. And let's review I want to do contracts, actually. I want to do contracts again. So let's do item review UALX, contract review UALX, and raw moon materials. I'm curious as to, because the Morphite calls are telling us that, hey, something's going on with the moon materials, right? So yeah, worth looking into. Actually, there may be something to look into. I'm going to look at public UALX contracts and see if there's any raw materials that are being traded on contracts. That might be something. That might actually reveal something. But something tells me we're not going to see anything, because most of the times those are done as a corp or alliance buybacks, right? All right, so I'll keep you guys posted. If you're interested in throwing some money our way, the corp might be ready to take in some investors, and I'll definitely be the one to more than happy publicize that, show you guys progress, because it's important. It's a really good educational piece, and it keeps everybody honest. All right, so I'll let you guys know. But I think we're actually gonna pull the trigger on that one. I'm thinking that we're gonna pull the trigger on that one. Okay. With that being said, that's all I have, guys. Thank you very much for being here, and hopefully we'll see you all next week. Maybe we can start talking about proper investments more consistently, because that's gonna be a thing we do. All right. Well, thanks again, everybody, and we'll see you next week. All right.